Hello everyone. As part of learning generative AI, now we shall see the next topic, training a spell checker, improving a spell checker. In the previous session, we have introduced what exactly spell checker is doing, what is the baseline characteristics of a spell checker, and where exactly we are facing problem with the baseline conditions. Let us see how do we improve the spell checker and how are we introducing the concept of attention in spell checker. Spell checker works by detecting and correcting misspelled words in the given text. When I type a text, it will try to highlight me the words which are misspelled by the person whoever is typing. The process typically involves various steps. These steps definitely, when it is doing the job of highlighting the misspelling of the words, it definitely needs to have knowledge of the language under question and some algorithms which will try to identify whether a particular word is correct or not with respect to its spelling, right? So, attention in a spell checker, it enhances the ability of the model to identify the input text and it will try to show the corrections needed, especially whenever you are trying to work with context sensitive errors. The baseline spell checking is unable to show us the context sensitive errors, whereas when you are introducing attention mechanism in spell checker, it is able to give you the context sensitive errors. It should be able to give you the context sensitive errors also. These attention mechanisms, whenever you are introducing, the spell checker will be able to prioritize some words or characters based on their relationship with other words in the input text, which will help it to improve the process of detecting spelling errors, and also it can show us more appropriate suggestions. Contextual understanding, whenever you are introducing attention in spell checker, contextual understanding, attention mechanisms will help the spell checker to consider the context of a specific word, like when to use, as in the previous session example, spell checker, the base spell checker is unable to identify the context, so it cannot tell you whether there, it cannot identify which one is misspelled because the word spelling is correct. So it will not tell you the word is inappropriate in the context. So the base spell checker cannot talk about context level errors. Whereas the moment you introduce attention concept into spell checker, the spell checker will now try to identify the relevance of a particular word into the context. How does it know the relevance? It will try to identify the relationship between one word which you are thinking it is inappropriate there with other words in the sentence. Then it will try to identify context sensitive mistakes if at all they are there, and homophones, you might have used homophone which are pronounced similar way but the spelling could be different. Improved suggestion ranking is one of the other features. The moment you introduce attention, spell checker can have improved suggestion ranking. What is this one? Whenever we are introducing attention, it helps the model to decide the priorities whenever it is giving correction suggestions. If you identify, suppose a particular word, when you are typing in a text processor, whenever you type in something, it is marked as red color, stating it has got a spelling error. If you give right click, it will try to show you the possible corrections. So in order to give the possible corrections, if you introduce attention, the model might prioritize various suggestions possible for a particular spelling mistake. Among all, the high priority suggestions will be listed out first. The moment it is trying to prioritize, there are chances more accurate and relevant corrections can be suggested by the model. So what it will do is, instead of treating all parts of the sentence equally, the moment you give attention to the model, what it will do is, it will try to see the word which is misspelled based on their position relative to nearby words. I will show you this with an example also. Say for example, you have the sentence like this: I want to see the view. If you see the word see, here you can easily tell me this spelling SEA might be correct, but is it relevant here? What word should I type here actually? I should use the verb SEE. I want to see. See related to vision, right? So I want to see the view. If I have typed this one, it has to highlight the word SEA. Though the spelling is correct, the word is inappropriate in the context, right? The baseline spell checker cannot show you this error. The moment we introduce machine learning algorithms, the moment we introduce attention to the model, it can try to tell you SEA should be corrected to the word SEE, wherein you are trying to identify a particular word is not correct in this context. How does it identify this one? It will try to see the relationship between see with the view. So after SEA, the view is not appropriate. So it will try to see I want to the view. These are the nearby tokens to this particular word which the spell checker is identifying inappropriate. So in this context, with respect to the view, it could be the word SEE. That is how it will suggest the correction. Now training the spell checker. How are we training the spell checker? As I told, the baseline spell checker is having the language built-in dictionary. Whichever word is there in the dictionary, it will identify. If a specific word is not there in the dictionary, it will be highlighted as an error. So how are we training the spell checker with attention? It involves developing a model which can identify the words which are wrongly spelled by learning patterns in the language. It will try to take help of both the traditional language rules as well as the machine learning algorithms. It will use both of them in order to improve the accuracy as well as adaptability. Adaptability, ability to adjust itself to identify the spell checkings based on both language rules as well as the machine learning algorithms. And how do we train the spell checker? First one is data collection. How are we collecting the data set? Gather a large data set of correctly spelled words and sentences along with some common spelling errors. This is how they try to gather the data. So how did we take the data? Maybe from dictionaries or a text corpus or real world data, which will list out like a tabular form what is a spelling mistake, what could be its correction. And pre-processing, after collecting the data, definitely we need to do pre-processing. So the text data is tokenized into words, removing all the unnecessary characters, punctuation marks, whatever are there, they are removed, and you will try to divide the input data into tokens. Basically, word is the token here. And common spelling errors are identified, and the data set will be stored in terms of pairs. What is a pair? If you see, what is the misspelled word and what could be its correct spelling. It's like a ordered pair with mapping. This kind of ordered pairs are created. Feature extraction: extract relevant features from words such as characters, and it will also try to see the edit distance. What do you mean by edit distance? Whenever you are trying to correct a particular word, how many corrections are needed or how many characters are needed to be corrected in order to reach a correct word which will fit to the context. That is called as edit distance. So if you see in my previous example, how many letters did I do correction in order to get the correct word SEE? Maybe one word. So I can say the edit distance could be 1 here, right? I'm just giving you an example. So you are trying to identify character n-grams, and you are also trying to see the edit distances, and you are also trying to see who are the words which are having phonetic similarity. We also call them as homophones. So you are trying to identify all these things and you call it as feature extraction. Contextual features such as surrounding words and what is the relationship of a specific word with its surrounding words, all such things are identified and stored in more advanced models. Model selection: either you can go for rule based models wherein we are trying to use a predefined linguistic model, which is the most commonly used one is dictionary lookup. Even in our mobiles also we have dictionary lookup, which will try to highlight the words which are not part of the language. Machine learning models: these are the advanced approaches which are trying to use all possible algorithms of machine learning models, and it will try to learn more of the linguistics and more of the context, more of the spellings and more of the grammatic rules of various languages. And how are we training the model? If at all we are using machine learning model, it will be trained on labeled data set, wherein the model will try to predict words if at all you are giving a misspelled word. And similarly, it is trying to identify both individual words as well as context based suggestions also. And evaluation and fine tuning: whenever you are trying to work with machine learning based spell checker, the trained model is evaluated on unseen data in order to identify what is the level of accuracy while correcting the errors. And based on the performance metrics, there are various metrics like precision, recall, F1 score, etc. We can go for fine tuning in order to improve the accuracy of the model. What are the benefits of training a spell checker? You are trying to customize the spell checker in order to work in a specific domain or in order to work with a specific language. Context aware: since the beginning I am keeping on talking, spell checker should be able to suggest not only spelling errors but a specific word according to the context. Scalability: whenever we are trying to work with a spell checker with machine learning based algorithms, it can handle a wide range of spelling mistakes and it can learn from more data compared to a normal spell checker. So spell checker involves combining linguistic knowledge with huge amounts of data, and it is trying to give proper corrections as well as proper suggestions for the mistakes. And how do we improve it? In order to improve the spell checker, we have we can take help of the pre-trained models like BERT or GPT, which will try to identify context sensitive word pairs like their, peace and PIECE. If you identify, they are homophones which are pronounced similarly, but there is a spelling difference. So you can use the pre-trained language models which will give you more accurate suggestions. Suppose I give the sentence like, I want to see the ocean. The model should recognize SEA should be replaced with SEE in order to have the proper meaning for the context. Similarly, error models, suppose you are trying to work with, you are going to see a particular thing, you might have used the short form for that. Suppose I have by mistake written like this, you are going to love this, but actually it should be written, the your should be replaced with your. So such kind of n-grams should be identified if at all you are taking help of the pre-trained language models. Word embeddings for suggestions, suppose I want to type the word spelling, I might have typed spelling, the actual correction should be spelling, but what could be the possible suggestions it will show me? Speaking, which is near to this, selling near to this, spelling near to this. In case if I am working with language, it could be the word spelling. So based on the rank, it should suggest who should be the word which is fitting the context. And dynamic dictionary updates, it should help me after some point of time, it should give me the option to add a new word into the dictionary, which is much prevailing in Microsoft Word also. Suppose you are seeing a particular word is highlighted as an error or a spelling mistake. You give right click, you will find an option add to dictionary. So after some point of time, a particular word can be added to the dictionary. You are trying to improve the data set there. And contextualized suggestions, as we are keeping on saying, it should be able to tell us the correct word which is fitting the context. Evaluation, as I have shown, precision, recall, F1, user feedback, these are some of the evaluation metrics which will help us to identify how accurately the model is working. After incorporating all the improvements, number of false positives have reduced. It is identified from the research that number of false positives have reduced, and suggestion accuracy is improved, and context sensitivity is also comparatively better when you are trying to work with the baseline spell checkers and other spell checker models. So when you are trying to work with pre-trained language models, machine learning algorithms, the spell checker is giving better performance than the previous baseline model. Thank you.